Good evening to everybody out there. I apologize for the technical difficulties. It must be, you would think it was Friday the 13th, but it is not. It is September 24th, a Thursday, and we are here to talk about entitlements management. And I am super excited to have say a quick hello to my two guests. We'll dive in and do introductions in a moment, but quick hello. Hello, Harold. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for inviting me.
My pleasure. And Richard Chan, it's wonderful to have you here again. Great to talk with you.
Hello, John. Always a pleasure.
All right. So hopefully everybody can see the screen. We are going to we did our welcome. I'll take us through some housekeeping. We'll do a little bit brief introduction. Harold and Richard will introduce themselves, and then we'll dive into this topic of entitlements and why I'm really excited to be talking about that. We'll talk about the business value driving entitlements and what it can do, and then we'll wrap up. Reminder for everybody who's here, all of you, the session is being recorded, so feel free to download it, check it out. It'll be on the website for about 30 days, and then we'll have it in our library on YouTube for everyone to access, and for you as a listener to do that. Guys, feel free to ask any questions throughout the webinar. You are welcome to do that. And then certainly we'd love you to check out our other webinars. We did one recently on universal RevRec, one before that on standalone selling price, and a few others so far this year. And we'll be following up with a couple of more on quote to cash and other areas. Contact us, just reach out to us, go to info@bramasol.com or www.bramasol.com and check out our website. We've got a bunch of cool new tools. I encourage you to get out there and check out the new tools with chat, really designed to help you, the listener, you, the user, get the information you need a little bit more concisely and quickly. So I encourage you to go check that out. We'd love to have you go there. So with that in mind, I am going to ask our amazing panel here to introduce themselves. I am John Froelich. I am your moderator here, and I'm a Senior Vice President here at Bramasol. Harold Reitz, we are absolutely thrilled to have you here. Why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself, Harold?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, my name is Harold Reitz. I'm with SAP and work there in product management for discrete industries. So I've been with industries for a long time and always had to focus on end-to-end processes from, let's say, starting with configure to order, but then in the recent years also focused on solution bundles, subscriptions, everything as a service, XaaS, and also the end-to-end flows for software. So in that, let's say, area, entitlement management is a nice and important solution, and I'm happy to talk about what it can do, but also how it works in the context of the overall SAP flow around it.
All right. Well, thank you. Welcome. Thank you very much. Hopefully we'll get you back as a guest again in the future. And my friend Richard Chan, finally get you on here. Well, introduce yourself.
Thank you, John. Hi, everybody. Richard Chan. I'm the Business Transformation Advisor for Bramasol. Previously with one of the big 5 firms and spent 2 decades with SAP. I'm here and
E&Y, Richard. We'll let you go this time.
Okay, yes. Thank you, John. Yes, previously with E&Y. Yes, my role is really to look at how companies either make money or save money, and we find that this tool is essential in all businesses, whether it's big or small. So I'm happy to work with Harold to introduce this product.
Yeah, I'm super excited, and I'm glad you encouraged me to talk about this. Talk about the product. We're really going to spend a little bit of time. We are going to talk about the product itself. We're going to talk about entitlements. And the product is really the way that SAP helps address this need in the solutions economy, the digital solutions economy, as we call it, where customers are moving more and more from selling a box or selling a thing to moving to recurring revenue models or bigger engagement models, things like subscriptions or rebates, outcome-based models and other ones like that. And so really focusing in on, once you've made these promises, how do you keep track of them all? And entitlements, and I'm hoping Richard and Harold, you can talk a little bit about what are entitlements. I have some great content here from you all, so maybe talk about it. And entitlements, I assume, are not those things that our children talk about all the time and how entitled they seem to be. It's more of entitlements as it relates to business. And maybe Harold, you can take a moment to kind of walk us through a little bit of this slide and tell people, when we talk about entitlements, exactly what is an entitlement?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Yeah, so for entitlements, we basically see as certain rights that we award to a customer or a business partner through a contract, through an agreement. So that can be any of the things we see below, and it can be, let's say, it's usually for digital products. You can have software, you can have software that's allowed to run on a certain hardware. You see here credits content like access to training or digital things like movies or so. But you could also have something like warranty or support. So let's maybe walk through those different examples. So one key thing, of course, our customers using entitlement management, using the application for, is software licenses. So you have a cloud subscription, certain applications, certain users, maybe certain modules in an application. And here it's of course the being allowed to run something in a certain time frame, and not only saying, okay, you can run this application, but usually you also have a allowed quantity, like a number of users, number of documents, number of APIs or so. So that's one aspect here. As some of our reference customers, we have ServiceNow, so they are a big user of entitlement management, and basically found a few years back with having strong growth, and usually software companies also grow through acquisitions, that basically they lost sight of what they sold in their contracts and what customers own and what customers use. Because there's so many different systems that it's kind of maybe you have some of those details in those detailed systems that provide the software, set up the tenants, but they had no central place to know what's going on. So they have implemented a large, let's say, integration with SAP, also with, I believe, Brem, CPQ, and entitlement management helps them keep track of what software has been sold, what are customers allowed to use. And it's not only knowing what someone is allowed to use, it's also about, let's say, seeing who's maybe using too much and should be charged more and things like that. So basically revenue leakage is a key aspect, and then the renewal process to find out based on what's being used, okay, what else could I sell? So that's one area. Software is of course a big scenario for entitlements. And then moving to the next one, of course, it could mean you have your software completely separate, pure software company, but also I think today every manufacturer has become a software company, and they either offer for their equipment some software, how to use them, or software on the device. But also, let's say a manufacturer has more and more the requirement to have a good way to manage the software, to sell it, to fulfill it, to know what's happening, to see how is it used, and then let's say extend the customer base. So here, for example, we have manufacturers selling devices, and then entitlement management controls based on the license for the device, what features are allowed. So you can switch on or off certain features. Of course, there you need also technical connection, but that's basically one possibility also to have, let's say, certain software-based activations on equipment. And we probably also all know that, let's say, the innovation in equipment is moving more towards being software based or then software activated, and then of course you need also capabilities to control that and link the license to what you open up on the hardware and so on. Also here in this area we have a reference customer, Honeywell. They recently published a nice video, and they are standardizing across different or multiple divisions within Honeywell how they run their end-to-end software business with SAP. So here, nice integration flow from CPQ to S/4HANA with BREM and entitlement management. I mean, you can look at it yourself. The key quote is here from them. Quote to provision system in seconds. So basically fully automated provisioning, and again, full, let's say, visibility across various businesses. What are customers allowed to use? How much have they been using? Is there overusage? And where can we maybe upsell, cross-sell, and so on? Credits is another topic. For example, SAP itself is also using entitlement management so far in some areas, but we are basically also rolling it out completely for all our software we are selling. And there you have, of course, various models, let's say recurring usage-based, but also this kind of credit model where you pay by, let's say, a BTP enterprise agreement, and you have a certain allowance, and then you can use different software. So here, such things can also, let's say, be managed with entitlement management. And then we come to the other areas, content subscription. You can have, for example, training courses or access to digital media, where you say what let's say, tiers are allowed and how many of the different things can a user maybe access per time period. Another scenario that's a little different is warranty. So we have also large implementations here for warranty, where you can basically, let's say, also related to your equipment structure, define in a fine granular way which part of a, let's say, complex, let's say, equipment BOM has which warranty, and then can update that. It's a little bit integrated, installed based in warranty management. One thing, and we'll get to that probably later on, is that you already see it here. Entitlement management is, let's say, an API-based solution, can be connected to many underlying systems, and it's very flexible. So you can define an entitlement model, and that can be a recurring software, it can be a usage-based software, it can be a warranty. You can have structures, and you can basically model the attributes, the fields, and the processes for provisioning something or stuff like that very flexibly. So it's really like a big toolbox. And therefore, we have, let's say, those various integration scenarios. And coming to the last one, support services. Of course, you could tell a support and then just bill monthly or what's happening, and have a definition of what the support includes. But as soon as your support or also your warranty has a quantity limit, like you have a certain number of free calls, and then you have to pay or so, or also trading services, you have so and so many days free, and then you have to pay. As soon as you have that, a normal service contract in SAP does not offer you this possibility to have the entitled quantity and then the usage quantity over certain periods and keeping track of it. So I think that's all aspect. Or maybe one example in the area of a warranty or extended warranty is when you look at your mobile phone, you buy this kind of $5-6 thing per month, so that when you lose your phone or you break the glass, you get it replaced. So that's also something where, at least for my phone, I think there's a limit. You can replace your screen only 3 times per year. So you have to count this somewhere. How often per individual phone has a user done this? And here also entitlement can offer you this, let's say, definition of what's included in the warranty or in the extended service contract someone buys, and how often has he used that in the period when he's allowed, and then keep track of that, right?
Right.
So that's basically a broad spectrum. And as I said, of course, let's say software and maybe digital content are the bigger, let's say, use cases, but also warranty and services. And we also have, I think, we'll see that later on, we have integrated entitlement management, usually, I think we'll see that on the next slide, into different applications. You have a contract in S/4HANA private cloud, public cloud, a sales order, or it comes directly from a web shop. So we can have those contracts flowing in, and then have a definition how to break it down in the different entitlements in the system.
It's great, in different stages of the entitlements and all that. Let me ask you an interesting question that came to my mind as you were talking, and that was great. So thank you for that. We often think of, and I think this is an aha for me, Harold, is we often think of the entitlements on the end user. We talk about B2C or B2B end user. It can be, for example, one of our clients, Cengage, offers education materials to school districts, universities, large institutions, and provides all of this bundled together. So it's not just a software license, it might be a software license with a content subscription, some credits to use support. So one of the things is using entitlement management, as you said, you can kind of bundle these all together, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, usually, of course, when you sell software, you have to give tenant applications and provision a tenant and allow so and so many users. That's one thing, but you also have to onboard your customer maybe on a certain system to get support. So that's of course, if it's already integrated in SAP, you can do it. But if you have a separate support system, you can also kind of do this wiring of a user getting access to a certain system or so. Could also be triggered by entitlement management. You have kind of flexible fulfillment flows that you can define. That then call other applications and can basically, I mean, usually it is like a bill of material for software digital systems that's behind maybe just one SKU that you buy. You buy one license, okay, this package of a software, but maybe there's different applications. Then you define in which application which modules are on, which are off, which maybe other systems you have to provision and so on, or it could be even also administering that you get a training with that package. Of course, that comes maybe from different licenses, but you can cover, let's say, various aspects here, and then have this bundle of elements, and then also the provisioning flows to actually do the fulfillment. So I mean, I'm usually, when you come from the SAP world, okay, it's about manufacturing. You can sell, you manufacture, ship it out, and then bill it. But how does it work in a digital world? You sell something, and then the fulfillment part is actually giving the software tenant, setting a tenant up for a customer, giving him access to the support system. So you have basically a kind of bill of material for software that you can define in entitlement management, and then you can flexibly link it with the licenses. The contract comes in, and entitlement basically explodes the bill of material. And then you have your provisioning flows. That's kind of your production assembly process. How do you now, let's say, produce the tenants and switch them active, and maybe activate the customer in the support system? So that's a little bit the equivalent if someone says, what's SAP doing here? So basically, where you have your MRP run, MES system, production planning for physical goods, entitlement management does that for let's say a software BOM and then software fulfillment as an equivalent, just to, let's say, connect the dots a little bit here.
No, that makes sense. Let me ask you, we talk about business partner. Let me just ask a quick question, because again, that aha moment for me was, we think of it in B2C and selling something to an end user, but could you also use entitlements management to help manage channel partners? For example, let's say that you sign up as, hey, Bramasol signs up for to be an SAP CC Flex business partner at a certain level. We're entitled to certain content, support, and things like that. I would imagine that's also a scenario that companies who do a sell-through model could utilize a tool like this to help them manage those rights or entitlements that partners might have, right?
Yeah, we have so far it's more what's there in standard, and as I said, the tool is flexible, but it's basically focused on a contract that you're selling to someone, right? So but we are also looking right now, and that is actually on the roadmap, on a buy-side scenario. So as a manufacturer, I want to manage the software that I'm allowed to use, or as a reseller, I buy some, let's say, software elements or so, and then I have a certain quantity, and then I kind of sell it on like a retailer of licenses to someone else. So that's another possibility. And this is not out of the box today, but we have, let's say, requests for that, and right now looking into doing steps into that direction. Also, if you basically have a procurement side of rights and then just wants to administer that, or you buy rights or licenses and then sell them on to different entities. It's of course then it gets a little bit more complicated, but we're also looking into that. But the core scenario, first of all, of course, is for your end customer, and it's usually more B2B than B2C, even though you could do both. But of course, in the enterprise software world, you sell to a company, and then you have application with a number of seats with certain documents, API calls, whatever metric you have to, let's say, then in the end pay your software. And then you also need to, of course, track those entitlements and usages. And maybe one thing to mention here is, of course, someone may say, okay, with BREM or subscription billing, we have a subscription and a quantity, and then also usage billing. So what's going on here? So of course here, entitlement management would also be able to do a usage measurement for a recurring license. You buy a certain number of users, the billing system, you just pay every month, you bill those 200 users, but you still want to know, have they started using those users? Are they created in the system? Do they have 10 of those 200? Are they at 190? Maybe I can upgrade, or maybe I'm seeing in the system, because I have this access, there are only users in a test tenant, not in a productive tenant. And then you want to know this as a business, because if you do not help this customer get his implementation back up and running after the maybe 1 year period, if you don't get this info, they will not renew, they're gone. And so basically proactively seeing, let's say, reaching the usage limit, or even being above, if you allow it. Maybe you're saying, okay, you can use more, then I will maybe extend the contract in the next renewal, or finding out stalled implementations, shelfware. For that, you need to look into the details of this provisioned software and get the feedback, and then basically provide that in a nice framework to your customer success managers, because they cannot go down into all those software systems that you acquired maybe over the last 5 years to find one's in this table, one's in that table, what's going on. You need one consolidation layer, all entitled quantities and usages over time, probably combined with the contract info, and then have a nice dashboard basically to work on your renewal process to extend your licenses, not lose customers, and so on. And we also see a lot of potential here for AI, of course, because if you have this information there and can bring it together in a big data model, then you can ask such questions of, okay, which customers are up for renewal in the next quarter, and which of them maybe are reaching their limit of quantities. So it's easily, maybe if you have a nice report, it's all there, but you can make it even easier to chat with the system. And basically, I think when we haven't built that, but it is possible because we're getting that kind of data out of the system. Okay, now we're seeing a new slide here. Sorry, I was still.
No. You had segued.
But we can get maybe into this one here.
Yeah,
so this is.
I'm sorry. Can I just make a general comment?
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, just working with different clients, large and small, even at Microsoft, they view that a lot of these, a lot of the concept of entitlement, warranty, they think it's some commodity, or I just need to put in a brochure. But in essence, in terms of precision type of documentation and tracking, it's profound. They find that you can really track people that abuse, overuse licenses. Working with Samsung, they talked about, we don't have any visibility when you do, we sell to the big box, and the big box sell to end client, and we have no idea, what they're using, how they're using it. But if you don't track this, it may become a huge liability, and you're thinking that the product that was designed to make X million actually has a cost or a return of X million. You're actually making zero. Or it really alerts the R&D department to say, hey, there's something wrong, because a lot of the product Y is coming back for services. And if you look at the accounting standards, warranties, we consider it as an entitlement, but it falls under different accounting standard codification, ASC 606 or ASC 450. So if you just offer a kind of a warranty, a 1-year warranty on parts labor for a flat screen, that falls under ASC 450. But once you send a notification to the client, say, would you like to extend the warranty? Now it falls under ASC 606 because there's a performance obligation. So tracking all these different entitlement, I think a lot of clients don't see that as value, but there's a lot of value in really tracking costs and possible revenue.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the business value. We'll talk about that in a moment. So Richard, I'm going to turn to you again, and then Harold, to dive into a little more detail. But one of the reasons why you and I talked about doing this in the first place was, this is the quote to cash process, but it also sort of mirrors what we talk about, the digital solutions economy, right? Where there's this process where you're starting with learning about a project and engaging it, getting an offer, a quote, and all of that. And you suggested within this context that entitlement management was so underestimated in its importance and where it fits. Maybe you can just talk about that for a moment, and then Harold, down here we talk about where you can elaborate a bit more on on entitlement management and how it fits that model.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, John. Really, if you look at the value of entitlement management in terms of building a library, it fits into, you have to treat it more as a product or value. So working with different clients, once you assign value to this, you're really looking at in the negotiation standpoint. So for example, for the company that's selling products and services, they have a view on what other additional value are they giving to the client for this specific service or this price. And that's key. If you don't have a view to that, it's hard to understand what the client needs. Because what if the client said, we love your software, we want more training, etc., and then training costs X, but then if you buy additional software, it is actually free. So there's a negotiation point where you can actually upsell additional products and services. And then for the client side, when they have a view into what they're entitled to, they can look at it and see that, okay, we need more seats, but we also need more training, for example, or we need more, I guess, help in in terms of R&D. So they may decide that, hey, we want swap training for tech support, whatever that case may be. And that's a value to the client side. When both company, well, both buyer and seller have this visibility, it is a kind of it's very transparent so that they can do a proper negotiation. So I think that's really key. And a lot of companies, they just sell products and services and they ignore all these, byproduct, well, these value, and it's all, that could potentially impact the company profoundly, but they don't view it that way because they think it's just a commodity. So I think those are some of the key items that need to be brings forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, Harold, you started to touch on, we look at this whole process, but, entitlement management is often the underestimated or underappreciated. Talk a little bit about, how that fits in that quote to cash and why it's so important.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, of course, a quote to cash applies to every company if they sell equipment or if they sell digital goods, and you of course have the standard tools here from SAP or also partners for your leads opportunities, and then the selling tools like CPQ or Commerce Web Shop, different integrations here for configure products or intelligent product recommendations, also something out of our group to use AI to help the customer or the sales rep find the right product for the customer needs. So that's also interesting. And then you get a contract either into S/4HANA, it could be S/4HANA private cloud private edition with Prim, or S/4HANA cloud public edition with subscription billing, and then you have a contract for a certain, let's say, subscription or a service contract, and then based on that, basically we have pre-integrated also into sales order, service contracts, Prim, subscription billing, also Commerce Cloud. We basically bring that contract information into entitlement management down here to trigger what I called earlier this, let's say, digital product bomb or software bomb. So you basically have a mechanism then to break this one subscription that they were buying down into one or multiple entitlements. And we have set up here a scope item, actually, scope item 5 SW in for the cloud side of things, with a public cloud, S4 public cloud, subscription billing, entitlement management. And the example data you get, just to illustrate this easily understandable, is you're selling CAD software. So you have CAD with a bronze edition, a silver and gold edition, and several add-on licenses. So you buy one bronze edition, and what do you get there? You get then tenants to install your cloud CAD software. You get a test and a productive tenant, similar to what you get from SAP, one to set things up and one to run productively. And then within that CAD application, you get a certain number of users, and based on that, as a secondary entitlement, you get a certain number of documents you're allowed to call. And then maybe there's an API license for external access. You see already all the different, let's say, use cases of subscriptions. Then you're basically opening in those tenants for the customer that he can use. And then in our example, we are saying, okay, you're not only getting a CAD, you're getting CAD and a collaboration application. And in the bronze edition, you only get maybe basic functionality. In silver edition, you get advanced functionality with this and this and that feature. And in the gold edition, you get those two applications with everything, CAD 2D, 3D, online collaboration, and you get analytics also included. That's not in those other editions. So now, even with this simple example, we are already looking at, let's say, test and productive tenants of 3 applications, each of them with different features, and depending on which license you buy, you have to basically provision those tenants, or when he moves from one edition to the next, you have to add what's still missing, or they buy more users. Then you have to add the users, but for sure with that contract, not add new tenants, because then they have 2 systems. And this is something that we can do in entitlement management, specifically also with this template that we've built. So if you are basically having software, be it with different tenant types or not. We've built a flexible model here to allow you to say, okay, any grouping of applications, capabilities, features, tenant types, test, productive, training, whatever, and any kind of license metric. You can Lego-like build them together, link them to your licenses, and then you are also flexible to say, okay, first of all, I build my features on feature flags, and then I can switch them to the licenses easily somewhere else. I don't have to do anything in the system. I need maybe something to manage my features in the application, but you can control them then from outside to your licenses. So that's let's say, something you can do here. So you have, let's say, definition of those different entitlements, and then you have different provisioning flows, setting up the tenant with for certain applications, with certain features, with user numbers, document numbers, so that the application knows what is allowed to use. And so that's the one side. And then you, of course, have the control with systems are there. And also maybe something to highlight, entitlement management is a system that usually is highly automated. You don't need to go in there, and if you look at the demos we've built here, it's of course a lot of clicking and then provisioning feedback from a system. This is something that would happen all automatically if you set it up in the correct way. So basically, that's where we come to a story from Honeywell, quote to provisioning in seconds. You have your quote in CPQ, you press a button, solution quote is generated in S/4HANA. It's converted to sales order, subscription contract, and so on. Subscription contract is flowing into entitlement management. Let's say divides out the different entitlements in the software BOM, and then automatic fulfillment starts. And within seconds, you have your system, and the customer gets an email and can access it. So that's of course, let's say, the idea. And as long as you're a small software company or have a first software division as a manufacturer, you may be doing this manually. You get a contract and then someone gets an email and, oh, okay, now we need to bring the software to the customer. Okay, you can do it manually. But then you start growing. Then you have a few more divisions and they have different provisioning tools. And as I said with ServiceNow, you're getting into chaos basically, because you don't know what's happening, and if the volume grows, it needs to be automatic. Otherwise, you're lost and you don't know what's going on. So one side is the provisioning, getting there quickly, but then as important is measuring usage so that you have your license compliance. Okay, do they use more than they're allowed to? Maybe you want that to encourage them that you have a contract upgrade. Or do you have no usage or not even a tenant installed and it's shelfware? Only if you look into the details here and get that feedback from the actual systems and count in entitlement management at the central place, then you have the transparency and so on. And then we see here a little bit on the right side also, you have entitlement management. That's really the broker of entitled quantities and used quantities. We have convergent mediation. That's our, let's say, system that's closer to the tenant. Maybe could do the collection or could be other systems here. We have a partner, Vibu Systems. They do, let's say, installation if you have an on-premise installation with, let's say, the software or the hardware dongles, for example, or you install some software securely on your machine. So we have an integration to them. So we have basically under entitlement management usually technical provisioning system or usage measurement system that connect then the entitlement orchestration layer to those different, let's say, software system on premise or cloud, to the hardware to activate something on an equipment or some digital content systems. Yeah. So that's basically also why those different APIs that we have in entitlement management are important to make all this connectivity and actually, you know, say quote to order, and then it all runs through here and activates a subscription, and then they start using it, and then monthly or in weekly cycles, you see your usage flowing in and can use it then in the next area. So just to close the cycle here, Of course, once you're, we also, for example, in this scope item I mentioned, you cannot activate the subscription if you haven't given the software to the customer. So basically, our logic that we have implemented is all entitlements belonging to one contract. Once they are on active, because fulfillment has been completed successfully for everything, then we trigger an event. So entitlement management is very powerful. You have a cool event framework. So you can say, just by, let's say, customizing, okay, if all, let's say, entitlements linked to a certain contract, if the last one is active, then we trigger this event, and the event then goes into subscription billing and sets the subscription to active. And only then you generate your provider a contract in S4, get your billing plan, and get basically revenue recognition also activated. So that's another automation that we built into the scope item to make it easy to, let's say, set this up and try it out and have a fully automated process. And of course, it continues. Your billing, usually it's also batch runs, revenue recognition. So if you set it up correctly, the only thing is selling, and then everything is activated, and then we come to the learn and grow. Of course, as I said, the key in recurring business is customer retentions and upselling or avoiding revenue leakages when they're overusing. So here, getting now this information that we are able to collect on a detailed level beyond what you have maybe for usage-based subscription. You count the recurring users and so on. You count in which tenant what's going on, or you can even see which module is used how often as feedback for development. So all this information now maybe with a nice analytics, or we have partner Gainsight is a partner that we're also integrating this with, who is a leader in customer success. And then you have a powerful tool where it's very easy for the customer success manager to actually know what's going on to help, let's say, reduce churn and grow the business and so on. So then it closes the cycle, because you're able to renew or extend your subscription, create another lead or opportunity in Sales Cloud, and then, let's say, upsell or cross-sell, and avoid that after the first contract phase, the customer is gone, because no one knew that they are struggling with the implementation, and somehow they just decided to do something else, you know.
That's a great point. So in the interest of time, that is very you know, we talked a bit about this, and you know, I'm going to ask maybe Richard to chime in a little bit from his perspective on what he sees with customers around the business value. I mean, a lot of this, Richard, when we talked about it, was about your, you know, your sense of business value. We can't dive into all these, but maybe you can touch on, you know, the big points here real quick.
Yeah, definitely, John. The business value is really simple. You have to track anytime you offer, whether it's freemium or fix it or repair, or just a perpetual license. You have to track that, because at the end of the day, it really costs associated with it. It's not free. So any cost, whether you say, oh, you can call in as many as you want, well, you really can't, because at some point it's just not cost effective. So there's an impact to revenue. There's impact to cost of goods sold. There's impact to in terms of fraud. There's a lot of these that are really important in terms of running a business. So definitely a concept that every company needs, big or small. You don't have to be Apple, Samsung, Google. You could be a small company, and you have to look at these costs that's leaving your front door.
Absolutely, cool. Well, with that, you talked about some of the features. We'll dive. I think you did a great job of diving into that, Harold. If one or two quick features, I wanted to show the screens here because entitlements management, just like every other SAP, is driven by Fiori tiles, and it gives you that information at your fingertips to be able to make decisions, right, as to what fulfillments are being used, what are the percentages. You can really track things right at your fingertips, which is something that I really love, and you can set it up by role. And you talked a lot about, and I wanted to visualize the graphics and the reporting capabilities. I don't know if there's anything in this list, Harold, that we have just a couple of minutes before we have to wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, one key is a flexible definition of entitlement model. So you can build your own data model, if you will. So that's very powerful. And then you could link it to the data flowing in from the contract systems. And then, of course, what we've been building in the last couple of years is this fulfillment automation, so that you have a fulfillment flow that's very powerful to actually wire this underlying system to do the provisioning, get the feedback. So you can do that here. And as I said, there is event framework, the workflows. So there's a lot of stuff here to actually have a fully automated fulfillment here for digital product. For the visibility, we have a basic analytics cloud integration, but here the future is SAP Business Data Cloud. So we're working on a model here to extract all the required data into Business Data Cloud, which really is a data sphere and analytics cloud, but also gives you then the possibility to have those data models exported. I mentioned here Gainsight as a partner. They are basically already, let's say, they're also, let's say, being used at SAP, and we're implementing those processes, and they can already tap into Business Data Cloud, get the data out. So we will have on the roadmap for entitlement management a so-called data product for Business Data Cloud, where you get in a nice way all the information out into Business Data Cloud, and then can use either our analytics cloud or also your existing tools or third-party applications for customer success and product success to then do the next steps. We could also, of course, and customers have done that, take the data that's directly in entitlement management and to do workflows to directly do cross upselling, generate opportunities. That's another possibility. But here we are looking really towards this Business Data Cloud. And then the beauty of that is not only then you get the entitlement data, then you can build a, let's say, a meta model out of entitlements, out of your PREM subscription billing contract, financial data, customer data, to really answer those questions in a nice reporting dashboard or in AI on a combination of things that you need in this customer success space to do your work. You need all of this to come together to see what are the contract, when it's renewal, what is even for me, what are my responsible customer, that's maybe on the customer master, and then show the detailed usage data. So bringing all the data together in one data model. And as maybe if you know Business Data Cloud, SAP is basically making it much easier than in the past, saying, okay, take the APIs, build your own extraction. We're building the extraction, and we'll also build then based on that, this combined, let's say, logical data where you link, okay, this contract belongs to this entitlement and to this customer across all those systems, so that you can easily just consume, let's say, out of a data cube, rather than starting building that up somehow on your own.
Yep. And then you can apply all the tools of AI, whether it's RPA or machine learning, agentic, or even generative AI on top of that to get some really interesting opportunities, and leverage tools like Joule. Exactly. Richard warned me in advance that we, as a team, we could probably talk for hours on this. Unfortunately, we had only an hour. So my key takeaways here, and first is to thank both of you for just a really great conversation. I really enjoyed speaking with you and learning. I think what we've learned and seen is that entitlements really are a crucial part of the digital solutions economy. It's so important to understand all of the great business models that you have, companies put in place, and bundles and entitlements, but how do you track it? How do you manage it? And more importantly, I think it's a really great opportunity to learn where you can upsell and cross-sell. There's active management of entitlements really adds value. it's not just something that is, you know, a legal exercise or just an exercise in, oh, who did that? It really helps you increase your customer lifetime value. How do you really understand what the customer is using, what they're buying, give them offers and trade-offs, Richard, as you suggested. It increases revenue and decreases costs that you suggested, Harold. And more importantly, you know, with a tool like EMS, because it's a cloud-based system and because it has a rules engine, it has a lot of flexibility, and it improves your flexibility as an end user to go to market, because you can be ensured that what you're selling, you can track, you can deliver, and provide customers with insights. And then, of course, it's available because it is a cloud portfolio offering. You know, I believe, Harold, you can have it whether it's for public or private cloud, and you can interconnect it to many other systems, correct?
Yes. Yeah, many of our customers, when they start maybe in one division, or maybe some of them already see the potential, but then they say, oh, this is great. Okay, and then every let's say digital business within the company says, okay, we can adopt this, and then so they start in one area, maybe do a pilot, and you can do the same to see how does this work, learn about it. But then really we see those bigger rollouts like within Honeywell, where they say, okay, this is our, let's say, a central broker for all software or digital products between for all divisions. And then you have multiple divisions selling different things, let's say software for equipment separately, and various underlying technical systems, of course. And you're holding it all together and link it to one, let's say, subscription and billing flow, and have a complete, let's say, model, sell, fulfill, and billing and renew and extend cycle, as we've seen it for all your businesses. So it's really how it often evolves in our customers, that we start with one prototype where there's a need right now, and then you consider, okay, where else could we use it, or bring it to other use cases.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you both very much, Richard, Harold. It's been a pleasure talking with both of you. If anybody listening to this video here live today, or if you happen to be downloading it and listening to it, please reach out to us at bramasol.com. Check us out. We will be putting, Harold did, by the way, provide some really great demos and customer stories. We'll be putting those up through the website and make those available for people to watch. Of course, you can always get them through SAP and your SAP rep, so I encourage you all to reach out. So again, thank you, Richard. Thank you, Harold.
Thanks a lot for having us here. Great discussion.
Thank you, and we look forward to our next webinar, and we thank everybody for joining. Make it a great day.